Let's now get more perspective on this, and Professor Syed Mohammed Mirandi from the University of Tehran joins me now live. Professor Mirandi, welcome to RT. Great to see you here. So, is it possible, you think, that President Rouhani's diplomatic charm could possibly create a gap between Obama and Netanyahu just 6 months after the U.S. president's reconciliation visit to Israel?
Well, it remains to be seen what effect it has on the American political establishment. I think it has had a major effect in other parts of the world, and it has had an effect, I'm sure, on parts of the American population, despite the fact that the corporate media and the political establishment is very close to the Israeli regime. But with regards to the accusations that have been made by the Israelis, the Iranians have in fact been saying for a few weeks now that we're expecting some fabricated story from the Israelis to disrupt any potential for rapprochement. And what the Iranians have been saying for many years now is in fact that it's in the interest of both the United States as well as Iran to improve relations based on mutual respect, but that the United States is not, so far, has not been pursuing its own interests. Rather, it's been sacrificing the interests of its people for the interests of the Israeli regime.
Right, and this latest UN General Assembly has also proved the Iranian and US presidents can actually talk without resorting to threats or mutual accusations. Do you think that Israel should be concerned?
Well, Israel should be concerned in the sense that it has been dishonest for 2 decades now. Mr. Obama, I think, and other American leaders have been hearing, and previous presidents have been hearing for almost 2 decades now, Netanyahu claiming that the Iranians are going to develop a nuclear weapon in 2 or 3 years. This 2 or 3 years has been going on for almost 20 years. It's like a record player that's stuck. He keeps repeating it, and this itself reveals the dishonesty of the Israeli Prime Minister and the Israeli regime. Obama, I think, and the American political leaders know quite well that Iran does not have a nuclear weapons program. Iran never had a nuclear weapons program. The International Atomic Energy Agency has never made any accusation directed towards Iran about Iran having a nuclear weapons program. In fact, we all know that the only country in this region that has nuclear weapons is the Israeli regime. The only country that practices apartheid is the Israeli regime. And the only country that will have chemical weapons in a year's time from now is the Israeli regime.
Is Netanyahu's visit to the US well-timed from your point of view to try and win back some political points?
Well, obviously, Netanyahu, his obsession with Iran is quite deep. And when President Rouhani was initially elected, he called the Iranian president a wolf in sheep's clothes. So that sort of language is what is to be expected from the Israeli Prime Minister. I don't think it's going to be very difficult for him to persuade some people, because in the United States, as I said, the corporate media is very much in the hands of the political establishment, and Congress and the Senate is very close to the Israeli regime. But I think if American political leaders take note of what happened during the Syria issue and how opposed the American people are now to confrontation and military attacks, then they will choose a more reasonable approach when it comes to Iran, because after all, they couldn't convince their own people about Syria. Iran is a much, much stronger country. And on the other hand, the Americans have isolated themselves internationally over Syria. So it would be best for the United States to really think a different approach, to treat Iran with respect, to recognize Iran's rights as an independent country, its right to enrichment for peaceful purposes, and to ignore Israeli provocations.
All right, Professor Syed Mohammed Mirandi from the University of Tehran. Professor, thank you very much indeed for your time and your perspective. Thank you.
Thank you.